He's been around a lot of that mayhem. You know that?
Robert Blake was a good pal. We used to hang out.
You know, Rob.
I'm starting to think you're a little shady.
No,
I know.
tell that story.
Believe me, as I tell these stories, I think to myself, what am I doing to attract this kind of energy?
Talk about Robert Blake and your...
He and I were pals. We would hang out. But things started to get a little weird with him. I was getting divorced from Ingrid. And so I started just saying, oh, it's weird because she's going with a house painter now. Not that I don't deserve it. I was a bad husband. She's going with a house painter, and he bought a new keyboard and some speakers, and I wonder where that money's coming from. And saying all this bad stuff as a guy. Not that bad. I wasn't condoning anything bad at all, but it just, taking her inventory about things that I shouldn't be doing. It was her money, and we were married in California law, but I was pissing, and moaning a little bit. He said, his face seems to change. He said, I'm Italian, right? I said, yeah. He said, that's not the way we do things in Little Italy or Italy itself. Here's what you do. And he had all this stuff about, what you would do to take care of somebody who's bothering you, a nuisance to you and going with your wife, even though, whatever. I won't go into the details, but it was pretty bad. He had some bad. Oh, and then
go into
bad
detail.
advice?
I will go into
He
detail.
told you, go into the detail that you did in the book.
Yeah, I was a very bad husband. Let me make that crystal clear. Now that we've established that,
That's clear.
yeah,
Not as bad as OJ.
No, not as bad.
Okay.
Or Robert. Wait.
Yeah, no physical violence. I never once hit Ingrid.
Do you know what Robert Blake did?
What?
Do you know?
No.
Oh.
He either murdered his wife or arranged for her to be murdered. In my opinion, the court found him not guilty for the criminal trial. In the civil case,
Put up the headline of Robert Blake. He was in this restaurant in the Valley, Vitali's.
Vitello's is a restaurant.
Yes.
And what's so odd,
And Robert Blake, for those that don't know, he was Beretta, and he was
he played a cop called Beretta. And when Marlon Brando's son, Christian Brando, shot that kid dog Drew Lay up at Marlon's house, he said Marlon should.
Well, we'll get into that murder. You hung with them too.
Yeah.
A lot of murders. A lot.
How about?
Wait,
how
let him
about-
finish this story.
Well.
How about?
okay,
Go ahead.
here.
Go ahead.
No, never mind.
How about what? What's
No,
your-
nothing. I want to hear about Robert Blake, and then I will ask.
Just click on that so that we can see that. Is it an article, a newspaper article?
No.
Robert Blake
How did he?
arrested for the murder of Bonnie Lee Blakely. There it is.
How did he murder her, or
that
how
was
was
a-
she murdered?
He probably shot her. He might have arranged
Here,
for someone else to shoot her.
I will read
You
this,
It. Yeah, read
and
it.
then you will equate this to the Ed Begley connection to this.
I will.
Okay. At 5:30 this afternoon, detectives with the Los Angeles Police Department and Robbery Homicide Division arrested actor Robert Blake for the murder of his wife, 44-year-old Bonnie Lee Blakely. On May 4th, 2001, Blakely was found.
Bakley.
What?
Bakley.
Oh, she's not going to correct me. She's dead. In the 11400 block of Woodbridge Street in North Hollywood, slumped in the front seat of her husband's car, Robert, his friend. She had been shot. Detectives will present the case against Blake to the Los Angeles County District Attorney. So she was in his car, dead. Ed?
I accept the decision of the jury that found him not guilty. They didn't have enough evidence to put him away. Physical evidence, they did not have it. So that's that. It's different than OJ in that major way. There was no 38. There was no 3 pieces of physical evidence to put him, tied him to the crime that way. But this I know. Not only did he go on about how he would take care of things if my wife was doing something I didn't like, he also said, do you talk to Marlon still? And I said, yeah, I do. He said, somebody should have talked to him about his kid. I told him for years if he had any trouble up there to call me because I know how you handle these things. You take the gun, you wrap it, you put it in like pasta sauce. You put that in your hand so there's no powder burns. You put the gun in a dumpster. He said that sentence. You put the gun in a dumpster. Then also, let me just give you the worst of all. He claimed he used to come to my house all the time, and he never took his jacket off, and I kept it ungodly hot to save energy. He always kept his jacket on. Why? Because he had his gun with him in his belt all the time. He always was armed. Every breakfast he came to my house for, whenever I saw him.
Pancakes.
But he supposedly was at Vitello's with Bonnie, and he left Vitello's and had to go back for his gun, which he didn't feel drop out of his belt, nor did he hear it on the brick floor. It's brick today as it was back in
2001.
Whenever it was, yeah. So it 2001, was it?
That's what it said in the paper.
Yeah, that's what it is then. And he claimed he didn't see or feel the gun slip out of his belt, and he certainly didn't hear a metal gun hit the brick floor. It was all baloney, and then the gun was found in a dumpster, and he was found throwing up nearby, but he had nothing to do with it, supposedly.
Were you ever called as a...
No, I was not called as a witness. I was on a short list. I was told to be called, but I was prepared to testify, and nobody called me.
I would think it would be somewhat damning to hear that he had said what he would do in detail to someone else before this happened.
Well, the reason that we know what was said to him is because he wrote a book now.
No,
I don't think nobody knew.
If you were on a witness list, then people must have known that he said that to you.
I think the reason that it was not germane was that I didn't see him, point the gun at her or anything like that. He said what he would do. He said, I think it comes down to hearsay or something, because I heard him say things, but I didn't see him do things. And I think that would have made the difference if I had seen him do something, putting a gun in a dumpster. That's much more meaningful to the case.